Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Cache McClay.
Derek here.
So Amber Heard is going to take the stand on Monday. And my take on this, which I think has just become not just a fascinating trial, but a fascinating look at a messed up marriage.
Yeah.
I think Amber Heard is in some trouble right now. And the question, can she dig herself out of this hole? I am not so sure she can at this point.
I tend to agree. So, I mean, the way that a trial is set up, you get to present your case in chief. Johnny Depp went first. And that's a huge advantage because he's already set the jury's sort of mind a little bit about what to think of Amber Heard. Is she a liar? The last bit of testimony was about the ACLU and how she didn't get that $7 million.
There was something bigger than that.
What do you think? Because that batters her credibility.
There was something.
I agree.
There was something even bigger that happened yesterday and didn't get a lot of play, but it's really big. The lawyer for Johnny Depp presented evidence that during the whole mess of their divorce, Amber Heard's lawyer sent Johnny Depp's lawyer a letter saying, here's the thing, she will not file a protective order against you, but she wants 3 residences and the ability to use his SUV whenever he wants. That is just game changing.
Yeah, starts to feel a little extortionate. A little rough. So
a little.
Well, to play devil's advocate, I mean, he lost the case in the UK. They did deem him a wife beater. So, I mean, I don't know if that.
Well, they didn't deem him a wife beater. They said there was substantial evidence, and he wasn't suing the Amber Heard.
Right.
He was suing a tabloid.
But either way, it sort of taints the image, I think, to start this. And I agree with you guys, but I'm just saying we just don't know what Amber might come out saying when she hits the stand. She has that cushion at least to fall back on.
Well, she can't use that. That's the problem. She can't.
In court?
No, she can't say anything about losing that Johnny lost to a tabloid in England. That's off the table.
But
so
people
now it's
know, right?
No.
Look, Johnny's going to live with these allegations for the rest of his life. He said that on the stand, actually. There was a powerful moment where he said, regardless of the outcome here, even if I beat Amber in this trial, I live with this for the rest of my life. My career is in tatters. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. He will live with this. However, for the trial, you're right. This is a huge letter.
If Johnny Depp wins this case, and if the jury comes out afterward and says, we don't think he touched her with physical harm.
You think he gets a reset on his career?
I do.
Really?
I think Johnny, if it's not just finding Amber liable if they do, but if the jury comes out afterwards when they debrief the jury, and jurors say, I think it was all made up. And they point to things like, why would her lawyer essentially try and extort them over a protective order saying, oh, we're not going to trash you if you give us these residences and an SUV. That is so bad. If they say, we think, nobody saw marks on her, or if they did, they weren't physical marks. If the jury says that, Johnny Depp turns into the victim.
Yeah, look, that would be a resounding victory. It's hard to unring the bell with domestic violence allegations. I think forever,
but what
people will be he'll be tainted by it in some way. It's in our head now. We've seen too many videos of him slamming cabinets.
How many people have you heard say we believe Amber Heard at this point?
Not many.
Not very many.
It's dwindling.
Yeah,
it is certainly dwindling.
But I'm just saying, like, even if people aren't saying, okay, maybe he didn't beat her, but people are still going to live with those videos of him slamming doors, drinking. I mean,
he's crazy. Okay, but
his image.
But Cache, he ain't the craziest person in Hollywood, or not the only one. I mean, look, you're right. They're both crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you see it.
Yeah.
But there's a huge difference between crazy and wife beater.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how devastating is that letter? To go back to your letter, I mean,
I think that letter is so
someone
important.
who is in fear, telling their lawyer to say, I want SUVs, and in exchange, I won't file this restraining order, is telling the world
and
that
residences.
You weren't really in fear that much. You wanted to extract something from this.
Or
that's a tough letter to live with in court.
Or it's not true.
Exactly. It starts to look like it's not true that you were in fear. If you're using it as a bargaining chip, it's hard to say, I won't do it if you
I'm afraid, but if I get a condo,
all of a sudden I'm not
It's
afraid.
like a motive behind it. We can see a motive.
It's a tough letter to live with.
It's a tough I think this letter is so important. So she's testifying on Monday, and I do think that this is the make or break. If Amber Heard, if she comes off credible, it does reset things. If she doesn't, I think it cements things.
Yeah. She's got an uphill battle. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He came out looking pretty good. Battered, but
an uphill battle before the jury and public opinion.
Yeah.
I think the public has already, well, I guess she hasn't spoken yet, so we'll see on Monday how that sort of pans out. But right now, people are signing petitions to get her out of movie.
2 million people.
Yeah, 2 million people. So she's got a lot on the line here.
Yeah, both of them do.
Yeah.
Blac Chyna. I want to get into something now. The jury is deliberating. We're doing this on Friday morning. I have a feeling, folks, by the time you listen to this, what we're saying might be dated because I don't think it's going to take the jury that long to come to a decision here. And look, it doesn't have to be unanimous either. So I am guessing they're going to make quick work of this, and Blac Chyna is losing this case.
That's what you think, Nostradamus, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Lay it on me.
Okay, let me lay it on you. And just the way I thought in the Amber Heard case, that testimony about the lawyer's letter was critical. There's something I think that's critical here. Somebody from NBC Universal, one of the execs, took the stand and said why they canceled the show. And they said they canceled the show for a couple of reasons. That the show was off-brand for E. NBC Universal owns E. They said it was off-brand, that E is, how did they put it, frothy and, oh God, I forgot the other word. But it's a frothy, lighthearted kind of.
Is it?
No.
That's what they thought.
Okay,
that's the brand, is frothy and
light.
and fun and light.
Frivolous. You know?
The exec said that show turned into, as she put it, a sad story and was off-brand. And to me, that's everything. And it had low ratings. So with anything the Kardashians might have done, you know, whether Chris went to them and said, cancel this damn show, that if you don't cancel it, we're done. The exec came up and said, look, we were going to cancel this thing no matter what because it was off-brand and it was a sad show and the ratings sucked.
Now, Harvey, I would 100% agree with you. However, to have allegedly Chloe's emails in writing, I think regardless of what the execs say, that they could say they were skewed by the Kardashians because Chloe flat out said it. If you don't cancel this show, we might not do our show.
I got to tell you, I know she said that. And even if the jury believes that, and I do kind of believe that, but even if the jury believes it, so what? It's like Chloe is Rob's sister, and Chloe is looking at what she says is brutality at the hands of Blac Chyna, that she beat him, she put a gun to his head, she put a cord around his neck, and on and on and on. And Chloe is saying, I have two allegiances, one to my brother and one to our brand. And I am going to fight for that. And I have every right to fight for that. And by the way, it's not just Chyna's show, it's our show. It is a Kardashian show. And so I don't think, even if the jury believes that, and I think they probably will, without the NBC executive, I think they win.
I tend to agree with you. I have a caveat on all of that. Remember, juries are human. And there is an element to this case. I don't think Blac Chyna is an entirely credible witness. Look, she's had a bad time on the stand, although she got very emotional.
Yeah.
And juries are prone to look at that kind of emotion and see the dynamics of the case separate and apart from the evidence. You know this, Harvey. The evidence is one thing, and the case should go in one direction, and then juries will take a right turn or a left turn. I think here it looks like the Kardashians have all lined up against her. There's a bullying dynamic.
Well, they're all being sued.
They're all being sued.
Pete Davidson showed up. Like,
she dragged them into court.
Everybody's there.
They look like the big bad celebrities, and sometimes juries don't like that, and juries want to go for an underdog regardless. Put the evidence aside. They call it jury nullification. Look, the evidence is the evidence, but you know what? These Kardashians need to be taken down a peg, and all you got to do is convince a few people.
And I will say, as far as their brand, Tokyo Toni, and we know, you know her track record, but she did come out and say, I mean, they've been violent on camera too. We have Kim Kardashian fighting her sisters, like physically cursing at each other and hitting each other in the face. So she's, I mean, to say the brand, I don't know, you can teeter the line. I agree that Blac Chyna has had some crazy allegations and things against her, but they aren't absolved from this sort of lifestyle. I mean, this is Rob's ex-girlfriend, his child's mother.
She's right. There's a physicality to all the Kardashian shows.
I agree with you, but the Kardashian show, the core of it is not the physical violence. It kind of felt like the core of Blac Chyna and Rob Kardashian was.
Yeah, this seems like a show for true crime TV.
TV or something. I mean, maybe it should
like an E show. Maybe they should pivot.
Just put it on Court TV.
Put it on Court TV. It's great. I mean, it's gripping. It'll get the best ratings ever.
But look, I mean, and I want to go back to one thing, and then we're going to move on. when I was a reporter, I know you're not going to believe this. When I was young,
Can you imagine it? Think back. It's black and white, I know, but think back. Try to put yourself there. Go on. The year is 1942.
We're picturing.
you done?
I'm done. Go ahead.
You sure? You done? Okay. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
When you were a reporter.
I derailed you.
Yeah, when I was a reporter, I covered the 9 to 5 trial. Dolly Parton was sued by these two people who said, I think the Goldbergs, I believe, who said that that Dolly ripped off their song, which was the basis for 9 to 5. Dolly Parton, this is federal
9 to
court.
5 was a movie and a song. Yeah.
You know the song, Red Cachet. Please tell me yes.
Yeah.
9 to 5. Oh my
Working
God.
9 to
Okay.
5.
Yes.
You got it.
Oh
Okay.
my
I'm
God.
not singing it right now.
I know, but as long as you know it.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So anyway, I covered that trial. And I was in the courtroom when Dolly Parton took the witness stand. And Dolly Parton stood up and walked past the jury onto the stand with a guitar. By the time she sat, I knew what the case was over. There was such goodwill toward Dolly Parton, and you could not only could you see it in the jurors' faces, which I did, but I mean, because they were so brilliant about the way they did it. They said, let's go through the way you write songs from the beginning. And she put on a concert on the stand,
Oh, wow.
and was singing the songs that she had written as a kid, and on and on. And then
this is peak Dolly. Big hair,
and
the
tiny
courtroom.
waist.
and then they
fully
said,
boosted, yeah.
and then they said, and you know, I consider all my songs my children, but not 9 to 5 grew up to be president. And then she took the guitar and she sang 9 to 5. And I remember seeing the judge and I said, what's going on? Because I saw him doing this. He was tapping
Not
his foot.
tapping.
The judge was doing this. And the jury is smiling. It was almost like a scene from Airplane. And it took them a nanosecond to rule for Dolly. There is a lot of celebrity goodwill that goes into a lot of these cases. Not with everybody, but jurors have images of celebrities. And these images get seared into their head. And what you have to do in a trial pretty quickly, if you're Blac Chyna and her lawyer, is disabuse the jury of that image and blow it up. And you have to do it quickly because the trial's a couple of weeks.
Yep.
It's really hard to do.
Yes.
And the Kardashians are
Yeah, you're comparing the Kardashians to Dolly. Dolly has an ocean of goodwill,
Yeah.
is beloved.
I
the
think-
Kardashians are slightly more controversial.
They're
Already.
slightly, but extremely popular.
Of course.
So I think that they have such an edge in this.
And you think that in itself.
I think it makes a huge difference. I do. I really, really
Yep,
do.
that's celebrity justice.
Yep, I guess we'll see.
Gee, then we shouldn't do a show like that. Okay, ASAP Rocky. So, good news, bad news for him. The LAPD, we know now, when they raided the house, they found a bunch of guns. A, they were legal. They were legally owned, which is good for him. B, none of them were the weapon used in the shooting back in November in Hollywood, where he allegedly shot a guy during an argument. So the LAPD, it turns out, never even took the guns away because they knew from ballistics, they knew what the caliber was, and none of the guns matched that. So good news for Rocky in terms of the search, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bad news for Rocky that the LAPD has surveillance video.
Yeah, this is the
Of
double-edged
him
sword. Yeah.
allegedly shooting, right?
This is the double-edged
Well,
sword.
somebody got shot.
Yeah.
The issue is who did it. So now the question, can you identify the shooter as ASAP? I don't know because I haven't seen the surveillance video, but it seems like the cops are onto something because they so honed in on this case and tried to, the element of surprise by arresting him at the airport and the whole thing. It feels like to get that search warrant, they had that video.
They got something. I mean, this is, like you said, it's good news, bad news. This is a double-edged sword of video evidence, right? Because they could go in there and say, well, none of these guns were used. Because if they found the weapon and had the video, it's sort of good night for ASAP Rocky in the case. But this is interesting. This is a wrinkle. So he doesn't have those weapons in his house, but obviously you can get your hands on a weapon that isn't from your house and commit a crime. But now the cops have a little bit more of a difficult case. Unless it's very clearly ASAP Rocky. Now they don't have him with the gun in his house. It's a harder case to prove, right? I mean, it's not clear that unless it's crystal clear that it's his face.
If the video shows him doing it, it doesn't matter whose gun it was.
That's right. Yeah, you can grab a gun from anywhere.
Now, how bad could this be in the instance that it is for him for ASAP, as far as jail time, as far as like,
Well,
because this is the worst time ever.
It's assault with a deadly weapon. He could go to prison.
These have big, when you have an ADW, an assault with a deadly weapon, it magnifies the potential punishment you get.
He could go to prison.
He could have killed somebody, even though he grazed his hand. He could have killed someone. That's a very, very serious crime.
I just feel so bad for Rihanna. I mean, they had the cheating allegations. They go to vacation to get away, and as soon as they land, their house is raided. They're surprised, and she's very, very pregnant. I'm just like, this could come at a worse time than this.
I think he takes a plea deal of some sort at the end of the day. If they have a video of him, he's not going to want to face.
We don't know.
That's right. We don't know if he'll even be charged.
And maybe the video's murky. I don't know.
Very possible.
But wouldn't they have to have like substantial evidence to do such a raid like that at his house?
Yeah, you have to have probable cause that a crime was committed. So they had to somehow show, to get a judge to sign the warrant, that A$AP Rocky probably was the shooter, more likely than not. That's what they have to do to get the warrant. So the question is, how did they do that? Now, they could do it by talking to the victim, who would have said, he shot me. That might be enough, and maybe that's what they did. What I want to know is, did they have that video at the time? Usually it's the first thing they search for, because sometimes these videos get recycled, so they got to go quickly. So my guess is, since it was back in November, they've long ago obtained this video. And what's interesting is...
the DA hasn't made a decision yet, though, but they're building the case.
We are almost in May.
Yep.
Yeah.
The shooting was in November. Why did it take so long to get a warrant?
Yeah, because any evidence, whether it's the shooter saying it or whether it was a video, I feel like you could have kind of gathered that before now. Like, do you think it's like
I don't know.
Timed specifically now?
I don't know. If they had this, they must have gotten the video early, because, again, these things get recycled.
Right.
So if they've had the video, why did they wait until late April to get the warrant?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there was resistance to getting the video. Sometimes a store will have surveillance footage, but
well,
they won't make it easy for law enforcement to collect it.
You can easily get that. You get a warrant.
You can get it, of course, yeah.
You get a warrant. But there's something about this that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't sit well.
Okay,
Doesn't sit well.
Finally, Amanda Bynes.
Oh, this story.
So, look, I mean, now we did this story that she has accused her fiancé of stashing crack cocaine in the house, using crack cocaine, looking at mom-son porn, which she then changed to MILF porn, and on and on and on. And she kicked him out of the house, and she called the police, and he called the police, and the police came, and he said that she was using his Adderall, and she said he was using crack. And they're back together and kissing.
Yep. Is this a one-off or a prelude to something more sort of, dark in her life going on?
I think it's very dark. I think if we go back in 2020 when they got engaged, they called it off 3 weeks after. I mean, they met in AA, which, I mean, that could be fine. But we did say that the ring, even the engagement ring, he bought it for $49 off Amazon. Now, I'm not trying to...
Hold on, you're speaking Derek's language right now.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not trying to judge, but it does seem something toxic.
Yeah, Derek says that's a little high.
Now, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What's the matter with the Cracker Jack box?
This guy thought.
And so since then, the family felt like he wasn't a good look for her, that this might have been a rebound. They were advocating for them to break up from the start. So I feel like we're just going to keep seeing things come out of it.
You know what the problem, too, is? She just got out of this conservatorship. Yeah. And it's like, this is where she needs support, where she needs just to make sure, because now she's independent, and she wasn't for 9 years.
Yes.
And, even if she's fine mentally, it's a big change to suddenly be on your own. And for this to happen so early on, a couple of weeks after the conservatorship ends...
Ugh. I thought the exact same thing. You ever heard of institutionalization, when people are in prison for long stretches of time and they get out and it's hard to conduct their life? The world has changed around them. She has been dependent on her loving parents who had her best interest in mind, and maybe chafed at having people who were guiding her life that strictly. But without it, you're adrift, and it's a really vulnerable period in her life. And if this guy isn't a good influence, and like Harvey said, we don't know the dynamic of their relationship. We don't know exactly whether this is a bad thing. But it's a tough time right now. She's very vulnerable in this early period after the conservatorship.
It feels, I don't know.
I guess the claims obviously were wild that she made, but I was more worried how quickly they were backtracking, how they were seen making out just hours after.
You see that all the time. This happened, remember, with Hayden Panettiere.
That's right.
And her boyfriend.
But like these claims, I don't know. It just seems like
listen, step into my marriage.
Downhill.
These things are up and down, man. It's true. The dynamic of a long-term relationship is you have fights and you have makeup and you love the person. No, not like this. But there are relationships.
And they got engaged after a couple months of dating. And then 3 weeks later, they called it off, and then they got back together. together? It seems like I don't know.
It's tough.
This is worrisome.
I'm
Yeah.
worried about it.
And again, worrisome, not because we don't know what's going on in terms of what the doctors say and everything else, but she did get out of the conservatorship. Nobody objected to that.
Yeah.
So it seems like she's able to do it. But this is where things need to be calm and supportive.
Yes.
And I don't know, man. I think
If this is the first thing we're hearing,
she's got good parents.
She's got great parents.
And maybe they can help save the day.
But that's huge, right? Because
Yeah.
unlike Britney, where there's a fractured relationship, she can still lean on her parents in an informal way. So I hope it works out.
Hopefully that works. We will see you Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.